So last video, we took to the skies in the 747. Now it's time to land it.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Alright, just before we start actually doing our landing checks, I just want to say a few things. This plane is very large, and because of science and inertia and all that stuff, it takes a lot to slow her down. So you kind of have to think you want to stay low and slow. So we are at 12,000 feet at 300 knots. We need to be at like 6,000 feet at like 100 knots. Or not 100, like 150 knots. So it's just a constantly making sure you're not going too fast and not staying too high. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is come over here, hit the init ref key, and go to approach. We're going to do a flaps 30, flap speed. Alright, so that's going to tell you your VREF speed. That speed is something that you have to stay above until you are established on approach. So that's not your final landing speed. You're going to be coming in way too fast if you land like touchdown at that speed. That's just the speed you need to stay above until you're established on your approach. Alright, we're about 5 miles out from Ho-Hum. What we're gonna do is slow to 250 knots. Watch our speed come down. And we're just gonna keep that up. If you need to set minimums, they're right here. You can set radio or baro. I like radio. And our minimums are just 200. So there are minimums. As we can see here, here's Signy, our holding point if we had to do a go around. But so yeah, that's cool. Alright, now I'm going to put the MCP altitude to 9,000 feet, which is our entry altitude into the ILS. Go to level change, and here's something I really love doing with this aircraft, is putting the speed brakes out. Because these engines back here, you can't see them, but they are powerful. So really getting this aircraft to slow down is sometimes a chore. So if you ever notice you're just not sinking fast enough, put some speed brakes out, put the gear down. You know, if you're going slow enough, put some flaps out. You know, this aircraft comes with tons of drag devices that you can easily use. And 10,000 feet, landing lights and runway turn lights on. I will say, one thing about speed brakes is you have to be very careful to put them back up. So just always remember. Alright, there's starting to level out now. We'll go speed brakes down. Alright, and Sarah right here is our first ILS point. So we're 22 miles from that, going 250 knots. We'll come up here, check, make sure all of our lights are on, or all lights that are needed are on. And you will notice as you get close to this point, the ILS thing will pop up. I told you last video, I taught you how to like set up all your stuff. So if you don't know how to do that, just watch last video. Yeah, here's the diamond, here's the localizer. We're gonna go ahead and slow to 220. I just like coming in at 220 because it, I don't know, like I said before, it really, like, slowing this plane down can be a hassle. So just going slower than you normally would in like an A320 would, like, just going slower to begin with is usually better. And at this point, we'll go ahead and put flaps 1. Watch that go in. Alright, flaps 1. And the auto brake here, I'm going to go auto brake 3. Because we do kind of have a short runway, and I might balloon this landing, so. So one thing I like to do when going into an ILS approach is to have flaps out. So having flaps out really just really makes sure, like, it gives you a bunch of extra drag without having to, like, use the speed brake. In fact, I'm going to use speed brake armed for landing. So yeah, that's something I'd recommend. Once you put flaps 1, you have enough drag to slow your plane down. So I just arm the speed brakes at that point. And 10 miles from Sarah, we will slow 200. Actually, we'll slow 180. And I like entering at this speed, 180 knots. It's just nice and slow. I don't know, I just like it. We'll go flaps 5. And we'll go flaps 10. Alright, flaps 10. And then I actually like to keep the gear up for a little bit, just because once you put the gear down, it's kind of like you're gonna slow down a lot. So I've been talking a lot about slowing down, as you know, slowing down and getting low as quickly as possible, but you do want to keep your speed up a little bit, especially at busy airports like this. I'm obviously on single player right now, so that's no factor, but like, if you're gonna fly to Boston on VATSIM or something, A, you might have published speeds that you have to fly, and B, you know, you're going to want to keep your speed up a little bit, because, you know, you're just going to cause a hassle if you're, like, trying to land at Boston and you're on your final approach speed, you know, 50 miles from the runway. So yeah, entering an ILS approach, I like to have flaps 10 and speed brakes armed, with the auto brake also armed. And then I'm going to turn approach mode on, which the approach mode just basically tells the plane, follow these diamonds, the ILS diamonds. So you'll see the plane will start descending with the diamonds. Yep, glide slope and localizer captured. And there's our runway. We're going to go gear down. Alright, gear down. We have the signal. And we're going to slow to our ref speed of 154. We're gonna go flaps 20. We are not slowing down. Why? Alright, now we're slowing down. Flaps 25.
2500.
And flaps 30. Alright. So we have our runway in sight. That's looking good. We'll go ahead and set 145 as our final touchdown speed. And then I like to wait till 1,000 feet to turn the autopilot off, just because I'm not that good at hand flying. So one other thing you have to do, especially when you like turn the auto throttle off, is you have to make sure your airspeed does not get too low, because you do not want to stall out on short final. Trust me. So I'm just watching that radio altimeter right there, and we're just waiting to turn the autopilot off. We'll do a quick check. Flaps are full, speed brakes are armed, gear is down, auto brake set. 1,000. Auto throttle, autopilot off. Also have your feet on the rudder pedals ready for ready to maneuver the aircraft when you touch down. And it might take some constant throttle jockeying, but just try to keep that speed at 145. We're a little bit too slow. We're good. And just those flight directors, those little purple lines right there, just you want to stay right on those. Those will take you right in.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30.
Flare.
10.
Oh, that was a bad landing. Alright, touchdown reversers. Auto brake and speed brakes are out. .60 knots, reversers idle. I'll hit the brakes. And 40 knots, reversers up. So that landing was not very good. What you want to do when the thing calls 30 is you want to pull your engines idle and pitch up a little bit. I did it too late, so we slammed into the ground. But so yeah, right when he calls 30, you gotta do that, and that's called executing a flare. And so yeah, that's how you land. Now I'm going to show you how to properly shut it down. So we'll stop right here. We'll go ahead, turn off the landing lights and the strobe lights. We will start the APU. And we'll come down here, speed brakes up or down, flaps up. And you know what, in real life you'd taxi to a ramp, but I'm on single player, so whatever. Go park and brake on, auto brake off. We'll wait for the flaps to come all the way up. Alright, this is taking too long and I'm impatient. So, first things we're going to do is turn APU gens on. And we're going to come down here, shut off all engines. And it's going to come up with this screen. If you want to continue the shutdown process, just hit continue. Alright, all engines off. We'll go anti-ice off. We will turn off flight directors and come up here, turn off all the fuel pumps except for these two, as those are feeding the APU. Turn off window heats, turn off the bleed air, but not the APU bleed. And finally, you're going to want to come up here, turn off the APU, turn off the APU gens, turn off the fuel switch pumps, and turn standby power to off, and turn the battery off. Oh yeah, you can also turn off the IRSs if you want. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have another aircraft you want to see me do a full tutorial of, be sure to let me know.